right, welcome to the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee. It's shortly after 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, January 24. Our first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak today? All right, seeing none. Our next item is the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes from January 10, and also the auditing of checks and purchase order activity and the emergency purchase report. Is there motion for the consent agenda? Motion, is there support?
Support.
Okay, any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Yes, Chair, I would like to remove item C from the consent agenda to be considered separately.
Okay, all right, we can remove item C, which is the emergency purchase report. Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve the consent agenda without item C. We'll take that up in just a minute here. So all those in favor of approving items A and B on the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. All right, so our next item would be the emergency purchase report from the consent agenda. We need a motion from Commissioner McLeod.
Yes, I move to consider item C separately from the
Yes.
consent agenda.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right, so you have questions or concerns regarding this item?
Yes, I do, Chair, thank you. I just wanted to just understand why we are still using the emergency purchase policy, considering that it is very clear from item 7A6 of the purchasing procedures that this is only supposed to be used when there's an apparent threat to public health, welfare, or safety of the county. And from what I understand, we're no longer under an emergency order of any sort. And so therefore, I believe that we should not be utilizing purchasing activities or policies that don't relate to that state. I understand that, you know, from what was provided in the agenda on this specific item, it said that, you know, that supplies are still expensive and it's best to use this policy to ensure that we have the lowest overall cost for the residents. But again, we're no longer in this state of emergency, and so I'd like us to consider no longer using that policy for purchasing procedures.
Yeah, well, I think we have a couple members here present that will be able to address your concerns. We have Cal Brinks from Purchasing and also Jeff Dode from Finance. So it looks like Cal is going to come up and help us out here. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Cal Brinks. I'm your purchasing agent and purchasing manager here at the county, if you don't happen to know me. And Commissioner, thank you for asking the question. That's a great question and one that we consider quite frequently. So, you know, we came out of COVID and we're used to the emergency associated with COVID in 2020. But since then, we've kind of moved into another crisis. And though it's not necessarily a county stated crisis, it's a world market supply chain crisis. And we live with it daily. You know, whatever our beliefs are, we live in a world market, and the global environment's affecting us and our ability to service the county. It's weather, it's inflation, it's terrible wars, policies, the political interest rates, strikes, and many more. And so we find ourselves in a global crisis. Consumers Price Index today is at 6.5%, and it was over 9% here this summer. We find ourselves where shortages are not predictable anymore. And the county is exposed, our operations are exposed, our services are exposed due to this crisis, both in cost, but in ability to provide goods or services for the county. And so we struggle with that. We see now popping up in all of our contracts terms that say all prices are quoted and may be charged at any time and change without notice. All prices are subject to adjustments on account of specifications, quality, raw materials, cost of shipping arrangements, and anything else that applies, and that's popping up. So we're dealing with that here in the county and our ability to supply goods and services. We live with a purchasing policy and procedure, and it's a good one. It's up to date, and the board maintains it, and it's valued, and we consider to do that. But our strategy on procurement needs to change a little bit as we live in the environment that we did, which is prompting a decision that you're questioning, rightfully so. When our bids now are quoted with 15 days typically or less. And so our traditional model of processes to go through don't necessarily all apply, nor does it make good sense to change a good policy or procedure. Honor pricing and delivery is a challenge for us. Procurement strategies needs to change, especially on our high-profile contracts. I could recommend a policy change, but I don't recommend it, and under this case, it was awarded under urgent. To your question, Commissioner, specific to this project, especially in the construction area, but not in everything, material lead times especially are very, very long and not predictable. There's added complexity due to the cabins that were being built for their site and location. When we're dealing with this situation in December, we're considering this the 1st of December. The Finance Committee, my options are to come and ask for exception to the bid policy under our current policy. Our December 20 meeting was canceled, and we have to make these decisions on it. Specific to the parks and why we'd make this decision for that one, it is pretty clear is the lead times are very long. There's complexity with the bid, and we wanted to get it done and get the construction company off-site before the camping season started. And so under the urgence, after consulting with others of the county leadership, the decision was that would be best, and to navigate to a company who has won recent bids here at the county, who has several contracts that they're performing that could do the service that we had a trust to. So I'm giving you a very long answer on that. We don't do this very often. In this instance, we had substantial conversation and felt that this was, under the urgent portion, a good decision for the county, one of the core principles of the county. So I've given you a very long answer. Hopefully that addresses it. But I hear you and understand what
So,
you're saying.
Yes, I appreciate your explaining all of that, and I understand, where pricing is, and definitely think that, we should do everything we can to get the lowest pricing for our materials. But I don't agree that we're currently in a public health, welfare, or safety of the county issue, and I do feel that we need to no longer use this policy for that particular reason. And so I would like I don't know what is next, but I do feel that we need to be very transparent with our purchasing policies, and if you as a purchasing manager can, make these decisions, I get it, along with leadership, that doesn't include a transparent process. I think that that's a problem for the county, and so I just, again, would like us to consider no longer using this emergency policy, given that it is very specific to public health, welfare, and safety of the county for being used.
Thank you. Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Cal, for the explanation. And, I'll be the first to say, I as someone who also deals with procurement professionally, I get the frustrations that you're dealing with. But I also do have to say, even going back, it's an apparent threat to public health, welfare, or safety. The way you're explaining it to me, even while deserving, and I understand the desire to get the cabins up and running, I just can't help but see that that's not necessarily a threat. It's a hindrance. It's a significant inconvenience. But I don't see it as a threat. And while I think you acted with the best of intentions, and I don't question that for a second, I do wonder if it is worth a revision to our purchasing policy so that we can have a more clear fleet-of-foot response to the changing market that creates a more tailored process for you, so that we can maintain a high level of transparency while allowing you to our purchasing department to be responsive to the changing market. If it's given as you've explained it, it seems as if you used reliable bidders that we've used in the past, You likely have pricing from the past. I also realize in this market, the pricing has changed a lot, but if there's a way of creating it so that bids are within a range of previous bids, so that we're seeing that the costs are within the market or are a low-cost option, that you're retaining the right to make that choice. You know, I do think a revision is necessary just because I worry that if this is used again in this global supply chain crisis, I just want us to be very, very sensitive to what a threat to public health, welfare, or safety is. And I just don't see this as a threat.
Thank you, and certainly can consider that, but I did want to respond. We had significant amount of discussion here on this, because this has been ongoing. We've been talking about this since the summer, and we, at that time, chose not to recommend a policy change, and there was a reason for that, is because transparency and being out in the eye in the public is incredibly important to us. That's one of our core principles. And by changing the policy, that almost hides that when those decisions are made. And so we took the avenue that we'd rather process under here and be fully transparent so everybody can see and understand the decision and these rare exceptions, as opposed to putting in a policy where maybe it won't be quite as transparent. So certainly worth considering, and we can make recommendations, but it may have a negative potential effect.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. And I realize it's a bad habit to brainstorm out in public, especially in a public meeting, but I just can't help but think that there is a way to have the similar reporting that we have under this example, but with a slightly different trigger, so that is tailored to reflect instances like this, but are not absolute threats.
We, of course, I would defer to our administrator, and we certainly could make that change on it for you. We live by our policies and transparency and all that, and so I have a tendency to not navigate to more flexibility because we want to be in that public arena. But I will defer that, of course, to our county administrator, and we can certainly do that.
I think we will review that, and maybe as part of that, a request like this should be on the regular agenda and not the consent agenda, so it is called out more, but we can take a look at that.
And one last question, actually, for admin. In terms, just because we haven't done one of these in the past only through the consent, are we voting to accept the report? Would a no vote effectively nullify the bid? I believe the contract's already been awarded, correct? I want to understand what
What a yes and no.
a yes and no vote means in this instance.
Right. So you're basically approving the purchase.
Do you want to answer, Counselor, or I can as well?
If you look at the memo that's attached to the packet, it calls out section 7A6, and that talks about a report coming to finance. So we're just receiving the report in this situation.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Commissioner Antor, do you still have a question?
Thank you, Chair. Morning, Cal. Yeah, I get it, but I tell you something, and I've known Cal now for 14 years. I've worked under him with the Fire Commission for several years. And besides the two absolutes in life of death and taxes, I'll add a third, and that's Cal Brinks is going to do the most due diligence possible on all these decisions. Cal has forgotten more than most of us will know about things in this arena. And I just trust him fully. I defer all this stuff to Cal because he's a really smart man, and he's never given me pause for a second. I think this is I totally trust him on this. Trust but verify, I get that part, but I know this is the best decision for Kent County because Cal made the decision, so that's all I'll say.
All right, we have Jeff Dode. He has a few words to say, it looks like.
Just real briefly, and Cal isn't doing this in a vacuum. We talked about this extensively, and this one was a tough call because it's more of the urgent need that we went forward on this due to the timing and things of the cancellation of the finance meeting and things like that. But Cal is not making this in a vacuum. He's had extensive discussions with me, and if need be, we bring it up to Al. So I just wanted to support Cal on this, and that we did talk about it extensively. So.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to be clear that I'm not questioning Cal's judgment here, and it's not a character assassination. It is a question about, well, did we use the right policy to move this forward, right? I think that the policy is very clear, 7A6 is very clear that it's supposed to be used when we're in a state of crisis, a health emergency, and this is not that. So I just want to clarify that and to say that I don't think that the decision to move forward with this was the wrong decision. I think that the wrong policy to support moving forward in this way was used. And so I just want to clarify that.
If I may respond, Madam Chair, may I respond? Commissioner, we understand that, and we appreciate the question, so we don't take it any way, and we had those extensive discussions, so we appreciate the question by all means and understand that.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments on this item? Yes, Commissioner Sparks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question, I want to make a note that we're not accepting bids because they're the cheapest. There's a due diligence that goes along with that, because there was a comment that was made that the lowest price bids. And I just want to clarify that for people watching, that we're not just accepting something because it's the cheapest. There are a lot of factors that go into a bid process, so.
That is correct, and in our world, there are bids, there are proposals, there are quotes, and many very technical terms. In bids, we use lowest responsive and responsible bidder. In other words, it's that the company can provide the service and is at the lowest price and has met all specifications. That's done as part of our evaluation process in every bid and proposal as well.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, now we will vote to receive this. So all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda comes from the Circuit Court, and it's the Child and Parent Legal Representation Grant.
Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve the Circuit Court's 2022-23 agreement with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to accept and appropriate $1,100,000 to the Special Projects Fund, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. The United States Department of Health and Human Services, via the MDHHS, provides funds to counties to provide legal representation to eligible children and parents in child welfare legal proceedings. The Circuit Court's 2022-23 agreement with the MDHHS provides for the $275,000 of funding from MDHHS and a local match of $825,000. The local match is appropriated in the Circuit Court 2022 and 2023 general fund budgets and will be transferred out of the respective budgets upon acceptance of the grant. The grant period is October 1, 2022 through September 30, 2023. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents as to form.
Thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item?
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All right, we do have members from the Circuit Court here today. All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda comes from the Circuit Court as well. It's the Quality Legal Guardian Ad Litem Grant.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve the Circuit Court's 2022-23 agreement with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to accept and appropriate $350,000 to the Special Projects Fund and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. MDHHS provides funding to Kent County to provide improved legal representation to children and parents in child protective legal proceedings. The Circuit Court's 2022-23 agreement with the MDHHS provides for $350,000 of funding from the MDHHS. Grant dollars will be used to provide mandatory training to all child welfare attorneys. The grant period is October 1, 2022 through September 30, 2023. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents as to form.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion for this item? Motion. Moved by Commissioner Sparks. Is there support? Support. Support by Commissioner Oliver King. All right, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is from Kent County Community Action. It's the KCCA Weatherization Deferral Reduction Program Grant.
Yes, and I'm on my way there. Somehow buzzed right past it. Should bookmark these, I guess.
I think it is. It is bookmarked.
Is it?
Yeah. You want to read mine?
Yeah.
I'll zoom
It's
in.
the last page, it's 45 on 45.
All right. Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $72,500 from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the Weatherization Deferral Reduction Program to the 2023 Kent County Community Action Fund, to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the documents related to the funds and approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Kent County Community Action has received notification of an allocation for the Weatherization Deferral Reduction Program Grant, WXDEF. This grant will be used to correct conditions that make a residence ineligible for weatherization services deferred from participating in weatherization. Improvements and repairs to make a residence eligible for weatherization may include but not limited to mold remediation, outdated wiring, roof repair, replacement, and minor plumbing repair. The 2022 WXDEF grant assisted 10 households to become eligible for weatherization by completing asbestos encapsulation, moisture control measures, structure repair measures, repair and replacement of outdated wiring, and roof repair. This program operates from January through September 2023 and is funded from the State of Michigan fiscal year 2023 budget. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents as to form.
All right, is there a motion for this item?
Motion.
Support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Sparks, supported by Commissioner Wooden. Question or comments? Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question here. So, is there, I guess it'd be nice to know how many households we might be able to support with this dollar amount. It seems pretty low to be doing the type of work that is noted here. Could you give me an estimate on how many households might be able to be eligible for weatherization services with these dollars?
We estimate between 8 and 10 homes, and 10 were completed last year through this program. And last year was the first year. It was a pilot through the state, and this is the second year. So perhaps over time, they'll invest even more funds in this, but for this year, it'll be 8 to 10 homes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. I was just curious, that isn't a big amount, and one really bad house could suck up most of that, depending on, we talk about foundations and things of that nature. At what point do you make the determination that a house is just too far? It may be livable, but it's not cost-effective to try to do what you do.
Yeah, our weatherization team has done this for many years and probably have to make those judgments on a regular basis. And they have already identified the 8 to 10 homes that will be done this year based on reviewing applications and inspecting the homes. So I think it's a judgment call based on their experience of which ones it makes sense to invest this kind of limited funding in.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Commissioner Sparks.
Here, I move the motion for knowing that that was our history, not having a lot of homes. A lot of people have not responded to the program. It's an excellent program. If there's anybody that's watching, this program is a program that will help with the winterization of the homes, especially for those low income seniors that do not have, money to pay those high bills when it comes to the heat. So I'm really thankful that Kent County has this program. Thank you.
And we do many more weatherization projects than this during the course of the year. This is the prepare homes to participate portion.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. That brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is miscellaneous. Is there any commissioner miscellaneous today? I just have one item. Following this meeting, we have the Insurance Authority meeting. If you haven't had a chance to attend that, I think our meetings were last year on that, so I would encourage you to attend and learn more about the program that we are working on implementing. So any other Commissioner miscellaneous at all? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned, and our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 7 at 8:30 a.m. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.